Year 5. Now, I wonder if you can work out why I've used that music to welcome you to computing this week. Well, I'll tell you, if you have a look at these pictures, we are going to be looking at all sorts of exciting things, including Morse code, ciphers, and some security work later in the week. All things that feature in our favourite kind of spy and action films and books. So I hope you are as excited as I am to get cracking on some awesome work this week in computing. Now, before we get going, have you managed to access some of the materials I've put on the website? You should have a couple of sheets like these. I've got this one here, which is Morse code, and this one, which is semaphore. These are going to be super duper helpful. Don't worry if you can't print them out. You just need to be able to have a look at them, and also some little sneak preview at some of the bits that we are doing later. You will need some of these. Okay, right then, let's have a look at this week's. Let's have a look at today's, computing lesson. It is all about, can I send and receive information using semaphore and Morse code? Now, I'm thinking that most of you know exactly what Morse code is, but what about the semaphore? Now, that might be a bit more elusive unless you have a scouting or guide background. Then you might have done it before. Let's have a look. Okay, our starter today, a question for you to think about, maybe talk about if you are doing your work with a friend. How do you think people communicated with each other before telephones and the internet? Shock, horror, I know we didn't always have these. So have a think, pause me, see how many you can jot down. I've got 3 different examples here to talk to you about first. Okay, now I think you probably have the first one that I'm going to uncover. This one is letters. Yes, how many of you have sent letters to friends or family members? Maybe you went on holiday and sent a postcard home. Letters have been used for so long as a means of communication. So I'd say that was probably our first form of long distance communication. Now this next one, I wonder if you got this one. Newspapers. Now newspapers might not be our first thought, but actually, if newspapers were read by everyone in your neighbourhood or in your family, which often they were, it was a great way to put a family announcement out, like a marriage or a birth or a christening. For example, we've got Watkins are parents. Mr. and Mrs. William Watkins, Lockhaven Road 1, are parents of a girl born this morning at 12:05 in the Lockhaven Hospital. So a wonderful way of sharing good news. And it was often a really small thing because you would pay to print that message per word. So it would be a nice short announcement just to let everyone know, friends and family, of your good news. Okay, now this one here, telegrams. I wonder if you got telegrams. Now telegrams often were messages sent from a really long way away through wires, and we're going to talk a bit more about sending messages through wires a bit later on today. What happens is they would be received by a telegram station and then written out and then delivered just like normal post. So you could send a message from pretty much anywhere in the world, and we still use telegrams today, but only for international messages. So that is how people communicated with each other before telephones and the internet. But what about if people had to send urgent messages fast? What if something went wrong, or what if there was a battle and you needed to send orders to the front? How would you communicate? Let's have a look. Okay, now this guy is a Frenchman called Claude Chappe. He invented a signalling system called semaphore. But what is semaphore? Well, have a look at this little happy chappy down here. He's holding some semaphore flags, and what he can do with those is he can make any word by signalling the letters. So we can see A, he has to hold the flags like this, B, C, and so on. And actually, if you look closer, you can also see that we've got our numbers up to 9 as well. So he can make pretty much any word However, he has to do it one letter at a time. So maybe if he was signalling superfragile, oh no, I can't even say it. Maybe if he was saying that really long word for Mary Poppins, it would take him a long time. The great thing about this is that you don't need to actually be close to someone as long as the flags are big enough. So let's have a look at why this was super helpful in battle. Okay, throughout history, armies and navies have sent messages across battlefields. Simple orders like advance or retreat could be given by bugle call, which is a trumpet if you remember back to before Christmas, or cannon fire. But sending reports of the battle back to headquarters needed a different system. Now this is because it might be a more complicated message, or you might want to have it so that your enemy don't know what it is that you're telling your bosses. So this is a little building that was invented by Shap, the guy that invented semaphore. And at the top here, we've got some arms, mechanical arms that could be moved using a pulley system. Throwback to science last week. And it worked exactly the same way as our little friend with the flags, depending on the position, depending on what letter it was. And someone far away on the next hill would be able to note down exactly what the message is. So an expert signaller, so someone who is really good at this, could receive up to 25 letters in a minute. And messages could be relayed nearly 155 miles, in 15 minutes. And what this was that you'd put one of these on every hill for as far as you needed the message to travel. So someone would stand at the top of each hill, they'd use a telescope and be able to receive a message and then send it on to the next station so that it could be passed back. Pretty clever stuff, right? Let's have a look at this one. Now this message is on here. It's in semaphore. You have got your semaphore sheet either on your screen or in front of you. So your challenge today is to decode it. What is this message on the screen? I don't know why I'm pointing. This message. There we go. This message on the screen. What does it say? Pause me here. Have a go at decoding it using your sheet. Have a go maybe at using your flags to help you out. I've got my flags here. This is my right hand one because it's got an R on the back. Have a look. See if you can decode it. And come back and I will tell you what it says. Pause me here. Here I've got my message that I wrote down. Did you get it? It was actually a really cool, fun fact about the body. The message says the smallest bone in your body is in your ear. Did you know that already? Maybe. So, a challenge for you. Can you create your own semaphore message? How would you record it? Would you find a way to write it down using the flags? Or would you record yourself on a video maybe, sending a message? Or maybe you could take a series of photos of yourself with each letter. However you do it, I would love to see some of your semaphore messages. Have fun. You can pause me now if you want and have a semaphore time. And then we're going to go straight on to having a look at Morse code. Okay, now Morse code, I'm sure you are much more familiar with, or you've at least heard of it. What do you know about Morse code already? You might know that it's all about dots and dashes. You might know that it can be done with a torch or a flashlight. There are loads of things that we might already know about Morse code. Before we carry on, have a look at the link on the website under Morse code. There's a video there. Go over there, have a watch, and then come back to me and we'll do some activities using Morse code. Pause me here, guys. Interesting stuff there. I'm not sure what my favourite part about that video was. I really liked the fact that E is the most common letter that we use, and therefore it was given the most simple dot to help us out. Or if it's the fact that SOS really didn't mean anything at all to start with, and it's actually us that gave meaning to those letters. I'd like to hear your own versions of what SOS stands for. Okay, here's another challenge for you. Can you translate this message? Right, you're going to need your other sheet now. You're going to need your Morse code sheet either on the screen or in front of you. Have a look and see if you can work out what all of these letters are. Now I can tell you that there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words in this message. Can you work it out? Pause me here. Have a go. Remember, once you've worked out what one letter is, if it's a really common one like E, top tip, this one here, have a look and see if there are any other E's you can fill in. Pause me here and then I'll show you the message. 3, 2, 1. I hope you've got something written down. Let's have a look. The message says, Year 5 are legends and superstars. Who wrote that? Well, it's definitely true. Okay, your turn. Can you write a Morse code message to me or Mrs. Elmore? You should be able to type it up like normal, or you can have a go at recording it in beep form or with a light. You need to put yourself in a dark room with a torch and have a go and see if you can set up a Morse code message. Now, if you do email one to me or Mrs. Elmore, make sure that you remember and you've written down what the message says so that when we reply, you can tell us whether we were correct or not. I hope you have enjoyed today's Morse code and semaphore lesson. Any videos or photos that I get, I would love to be able to share them with Mrs. Elmore and with you guys as well, maybe in our Teams meetings. Anything that you do, come and send it to me this week because I'm at home. I'm on the emails with my friend Benny the plant here as well. Enjoy, and tomorrow we'll have a look at how we can make sure the messages we send are super secret using a cipher.